This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Hey there folks, and welcome to another Friday rambling of mine. I have once again done my run, done my shop, finished off another week's work, and I'm now ready to chill out for the weekend with my first Miller and a little chin wag to you guys. I know I did a video last week about Uncharted, but it was only about my impressions at that time. And since then, I've completed the game, and I'm going to rewind a little bit because last week I was saying that I had some frustrations. These were very minor points. I was already saying it was a 9 out of 10, and but it dawned on me quite quickly after playing the game again. So I'd only played about 4 acts at that point, and quite quickly after that dawned on me that Uncharted 4, technically speaking, isn't a regular Uncharted game. It isn't. It's almost a crossbreed between The Last of Us and Uncharted. And that's fine. But I think my initial reactions to the game were, I was expecting this 7-hour compact action, clip action sort of bonanza that we'd got in the other ones. And that's not what they gave us in this game. I mean, it's there's loads of action in the game, but they've spread it out quite heavily. So I think, when people say that it was too long, which a lot of people have, the only way that I could see it being longer was because they'd given us a lot more in the way of climbing around, a lot more of open areas to wander about in and have a look around, and now that I've played it, well, actually, as I progressed through the game, I felt more and more like I was pleased that they did this. Because Uncharted 3 at that point was it's not my favourite game. The Last of Us is my favourite game, probably of all time. But Uncharted 3 was my favourite Uncharted game, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm glad that they didn't just try and give us another one of those. Because this is a very different game to that, because it does let you breathe a bit, it lets you climb a bit, you don't get room of enemy. They've really pulled back on that. They really went for the stealth elements in this game. I mean, every area you see enemies in, most of them, you're going to want to try and do the stealth in. There was a lot of cutscenes. I don't think there was more than normal. I think people are probably thinking there is because the game was stretched out like that. But there was quite a few. But I think there's just as many as The Last of Us and just as many as the other. I mean, The Last of Us is a longer game than Uncharted's, to be fair. I think that was probably about 10 hours. Although you could probably rush it. But if you took your time and searched everywhere for all the bits. I mean, I think that was one little grumble my son had, because they'd given you areas to wander about in. They'd added those elements where you could open drawers, you could find stuff, and it would go in your little notebook. They'd given you, more to search for and all this sort of stuff, and that's all fine. But in The Last of Us, you did all that searching because you were trying to find bits to upgrade your weapons and do other things with. So it wasn't a case of just opening up a drawer going, oh, this is nice and pretty, let's read this, and then putting it away in your book. So for him, the urge to open the drawers, the urge to search around wasn't that high. But that's not really a fault. It just made it less interesting for him to do. He didn't mind doing it in The Last of Us because there was some bonus and benefit to it. So there was that little grumble, but that wasn't, I didn't have that grumble with it. Anyway, I digress slightly. But the whole game was like I do. Like I love to do. Let's digress a little, Stephen, and go off on a completely different tangent altogether. So, the whole game... I mean, I played it over about 3 or 4 nights. And when I happened to be texting my son at quite near the end of the game, and I didn't know it was the end of the game at that point. And he said, oh, well, you're not. He goes, you might as well just finish it tonight because you're nearly there. And at that point, I was actually a little bit disappointed because I didn't feel like it was a long game at that point. I felt like there was still going to be plenty to do, but there wasn't. So I almost had the opposite effect to everybody else. So I don't know whether the grumble that people have about this game being too long is that with an old Uncharted game, you could sit and play it and finish it in one sitting. Now, for most games, they get ripped apart for that because they go, it's too short, and the multiplayer kind of saves it at that point because it gives you a reason to go back, all the trophies. But I think he was telling me there's a trophy, I think, for finishing it in 6 hours or something. So how can it be too long if you can rush finish this game in 6 hours? That's another thing I don't understand. So I don't quite understand where the gripes are coming from with regards to this game being too long, because I didn't find it too long at all. In fact, I was slightly disappointed when it came to an end. The whole vibe of the game is different to the vibe of all the others, in my opinion. And I think they did it on purpose. I think they stretched it out because they wanted to tell the end of the story. I think they wanted to make it more touching, more sentimental, more meaningful. They wanted the characters to sort of end their journeys to some extent. And they did all of that, and they did it beautifully. So as I say, the going back to where I started with this, when I'd finished the vlog from last week and I went back to play it, this all kind of dawned on me quite quickly that this was a very different Uncharted game, and I couldn't be treating it like 3. And that wasn't the experience they were trying to give me. And when that dawned on me, I started enjoying it to the full. And with every level I went on with this game, I was just, my jaw was just dropped. It's stunning to look at. You won't, if you get a better looking game than that on the PS4, it can only come from them. I mean, it's just stunning. The amount of pictures I took was just ridiculous. There's just so many jaw-droppingly beautiful bits to look at. And even the little things were beautiful to look at. You know, walking through the grass or the leaves or just the basic boring stuff. Even things that were falling apart looked beautiful. So it was just gorgeous. And the gameplay was so smooth. I said to my son, the more I played it, the more I really appreciated just how good the gameplay is in this game. Because I think in a game like that, you can kind of like wash over it. You can kind of not realize just how good it was because it was so smooth. You don't even notice. You're just having such a good time. But it was so smooth, especially with the fact that they built the stealth elements into this one, because the stealth elements weren't really in the last ones. You could hide behind something and pull somebody over a wall and that kind of thing, but you couldn't sneak around in the grass and then leap out. And it was really, really smooth. In my entire playthrough, I didn't have one bug that I remember. There wasn't anything that bugged out on me that went weird. An action bit that failed because of me, because of the game. It was always because of me. So I couldn't, when I got to the end of the game, and there's kind of a couple of endings to this game, not different endings, that's not what I mean. What I mean is there's the ending to the sort of main story arc, and then they give you an epilogue at the end, which kind of finishes it even further. So that particular part of it, I was really, really pleased they did, because it really solidified the fact that they're not going to go back, I don't think, to the Nathan Drake character or Helena or that era. That's not to say they might not revisit the Uncharted universe, but I don't think that they will, in my personal opinion. I think they're done with it, but it's there. They could use it if they wanted to, but I think it would most certainly be with a different person. So it was really, really nice to see it through. And at the end of it, I couldn't give it anything but a 10 out of 10, because it was absolutely stunning and it was absolutely gorgeous to play. And they gave me almost a perfect finish to a almost perfect franchise. Absolutely fantastic. So I was really chuffed with it, and I can't wait to play it again. I know in the last vlog I said, oh, can I be bothered going through this first bit again? I think part of my issues with the beginning was that I was so keen to see the story out, and I think that's what a lot of people are going to have judged this game on, being too long, simply because they wanted to see it pan out story-wise, instead of just taking their time and enjoying it. Because once I settled into it, I didn't want it to end. And as I say, I was disappointed when I realised that I was about to finish it. So yeah, so absolutely fantastic. By far the best game I've played on this gen. I mean, I love The Witcher. The Witcher's an absolute quality. I mean, such a good game, The Witcher 3. I mean, absolutely brilliant. Probably that's a very second close. The Last of Us obviously is on these consoles, but it was really a PS3 game. So we shall see if The Last of Us 2 comes along, which I'm still dubious about. I mean, I think they'll have to do one, but I always worry for such a perfect game to get a sequel. Sometimes I wonder if they should just move on, do something else, leave it as perfect as it was. But anyway, that's a conversation for a whole other time. So on to other things. That's Uncharted dealt with. I did have, since my move to Edinburgh, I stopped doing the Let's Plays, as you know, and I tried to squeeze in videos quite quickly after I'd got settled, but I hadn't got back to any of the RPGs. I was kind of trying to do stuff that was a bit more easy to do streams with and a bit more easy to play, and I didn't have to think too much about them, and I could just enjoy them. And I've been doing that pretty much, and I've been doing these vlogs. So I've been filling the channel with other such things, but not so much the RPGs, which is what I had always said that the channel would probably be about, because that's where the majority of people have found the interest in my channel, with the RPGs that other people weren't playing, like Arcania and Divinity, Original Sin, and so on. So Divinity was not finished, nor was the other one that I've forgotten the name of, Wasteland 2. Which, Wasteland 2, to be fair, the interest level had dropped a bit on that one, but there was still, 100-odd hits coming for... I know in the grand scheme of YouTube, that's not a huge amount of hits, but for my little channel, it's a lot of interest in a game when people are clicking on it 170-odd times. So there's obviously not a lot, or not an awful lot of console content of Divinity on YouTube, I don't think. And I think my stuff is quite, when you search for it, because I was one of the first people to put PS4 footage up, I think it's still quite high up on the results when you search for it. So it still grabs subscribers and it still grabs interest from people, and that's how a lot of people discover me. And I have had quite a few of them asking me, when am I going back to Divinity, when am I going back to Divinity? Now, the thing with Divinity was, now when you see this video, you'll notice that I have actually recorded one. I recorded one last night and finally got myself back into it. But the thing with Divinity is I love the game. It's absolutely brilliant. I didn't expect it to go on for quite as long as it has, and a lot of that probably is down to me not being used to this kind of RPG. I've talked about it before in other vlogs. So it does feel a little bit like homework when I put it on. I do enjoy it, but I do have to think about what I'm doing. This game does not point you anywhere. You've got to figure it out. And thank God for people like Old Grey and other people giving me advice on the chat on YouTube, or on the comments, because they really are pointing me in directions that otherwise I'd be lost in, because I'm just not used to these kind of RPGs where I have to figure it all out myself. And it wouldn't be a problem if I was doing it off camera, because I could just spend for ages just wandering around and doing whatever. But because I'm on camera and recording it all the time, I realise I could edit it, but I like to post them up as raw as I can. So because I'm filming it, I'm very, very conscious of taking my time to look everywhere and do everything. So I think a lot of that has to do with how long I've taken to do it as well, because I kind of miss a lot by not doing that. But anyway, all of that aside, we're back into it. I've recorded one last night. I've kind of got it's been about 2 months since I touched it. So I've got my head around all the buttons again. It was quite a good playthrough, to be fair. And Old Grey gave me another tip as to, well, it's a tip he'd already given me 2 months ago that I'd forgotten, as to what I'm supposed to do with regards to a specific weapon to try and take out these invincible knights. I think that's what it's for. So I've got that to do. So I'm going to be doing that with Divinity. I won't be doing like Divinity every night, but I'll be doing regular ones now that I've got back into it. I don't want to let it slide again. So I will be doing some regular ones through the week. I've still got a shed ton of stuff that I haven't played. I've still got a shed ton of games that I haven't finished. I finally found Far Cry Primal at a really good price. I got it from Simply Games. Really good, actually. You can get some really good prices on Simply Games for $24.99. So I was really, really chuffed with the price, and I thought I've got to grab it at that price, because it probably won't go much cheaper than that. I mean, you might get it around 20 quid if they go for some stupid deal at some point, but 25 quid's pretty good for a game of that magnitude. So, and it was a game I wanted to get at launch, but because I was moving, I kind of put it off. And then Uncharted was coming, so I thought I'll get that instead, and all that sort of stuff. So that's arrived. I've not even taken the cellophane off it yet. I've got that to play. I'll probably do a couple of videos on it, or I might do what I did with Far Cry 4 and just do some PS4 shares and throw up some footage. Unless people tell me in the comments they'd like to see it. Actually, R. Jones, I think it was R. Jones, said he'd quite like to see some of it. So I might do a couple of episodes on it with me chatting around it maybe. But certainly, one way or the other, I'll throw some footage up of it. Uncharted 4, there was no point in me doing Let's Plays or anything on that. I mean, there's gazillions of people doing it all over the place. I mean, these big games, there's already 100 folk having got footage up before the game's even released, so how much interest there is for it. And people don't want to see the stories pan out either with games like that. RPGs are a bit different, aren't they? I've got that. I've still got, Dark Souls 3, me and my son started, and we're going to be doing, next time he comes around. The only reason we didn't live stream it the first time we played it was because we'd watched the football first, and there was only about an hour or so before it was sort of bedtime kind of thing. Bedtime. But you know what I mean. It was quite late, so we thought, we better not start it. So we'll be doing a live stream on that at some point. That's a game we're going to play together when he bobs around to see me, so we'll do some live streams on it. I've still got Until Dawn to do. I'm going to try and do Until Dawn all the way through to the end on live stream. I've done 2 live streams. I haven't played it any further than the 2 I've done, and I'll try and do some more live streams with that. Just a bit of fun. I'm not expecting people to watch it from beginning to end, but a lot of people were quite interested dipping in and out of that one while I was live streaming it, so I'll do a bit of that as well. I've got Fallout 4 to play, which, again, I'll probably do some ad hoc videos on. I don't think anyone wants to see me run around the Fallout 4 world in a full Let's Play. It'd take forever. So that's a game I kind of held off on playing until I'd moved because it was going to take so much time to play. I wanted to kind of throw myself into that world and really enjoy it. So I will be playing that at some point soon, I hope. But now that Far Cry Primal's arrived, I might go for that first. But my day with Fallout 4 will come. It will. I will. And the DLC's come out for that as well, isn't it? Something to do with the harbour. Can't remember what it's called. Is it Far Harbour or something? Something like that. So I've got all sorts still to play. I still haven't played Mad Max. That's been sat there. I've played a little bit of it. I think I posted a video up of it ages ago, but I never, ever finished the game because I went on to Fallout 4. Fallout 4. Far Cry 4. And then got hooked on that and never went back to Mad Max. So that's still there to play. I've got loads. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the games are just down here behind the camera. And every time I look at a row of games, there's games. I mean, I still haven't finished Bloodborne, although I got a bit lost with it because we did a live stream. My son did most of the playing and I did most of the talking, and I've forgotten where he's been, what he's done. I'd have to watch my own videos again to see where I am. I might be repeating myself with that particular comment because I think I might have talked about that in another video. So there's all sorts there. Can't quite make out. I need glasses now. Can't quite make out half the titles. So there's loads of games. I got some remasters that I haven't played yet either, but I saw them so cheap I thought I would get them at the time. So yes, I think that's probably all I wanted to talk about today. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you again and rambling away like I do. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on. I'm going to go and enjoy my beer for the evening, and I've got Jules Holland to watch from last night, I think, so I've got a bit of music to this. I do like my Jules Holland. And I'm going to go off and enjoy my weekend, and I will get plenty of gaming in and some videos to post up, I'm sure. I hope you all have a good and gaming weekend, and I will see you all soon. You guys take it easy. Bye.